Hey everyone, welcome to or back to my channel, Mel KB Vlogs. So today I want to do a little video on basically how much it costs to keep up and actively pursue a career in theater. And kind of what I mean by that is most careers, you go to college, you learn what you need to learn, you start working in the workforce, you get hired at a company, and then anything that is like continuing education usually is offered by the company you work for, so it's free. They'll send you to conferences, they'll have new trainings, you learn on the job as you go. However, with this career, being an actor, you don't get that. And to maintain your level of skill and kind of keep up with what's going on in the industry in order to keep yourself competitive with other auditioners, so you make sure you get that job, so you are polished and ready to go. You need to do a lot to maintain all of that, because if you don't take a voice lesson for years, it's gonna be noticeable. You will lose some of that technique, you will not have the control over your instrument that you want to have. Same with dance. If you're not taking dance classes, you're gonna lose your stamina, your flexibility, your strength, not be able to pick up choreography as quickly. If you don't take acting classes for a long time, and then you're in an audition process and you get a call back, and then there you go, it's time to read some lines. Even if you're a dancer and you're really going for ensemble still needs to understudy roles, or there's lots of featured ensemble parts that have to act. And when you're given those lines and you have a few days to prepare them, you're gonna be screwed. You won't remember the techniques you learned in college to like successfully do those scenes. So it's a lot of pressure, and yeah, there's a lot, but it's just a part of the industry. So I'm gonna crunch some numbers here and tell you exactly how much things are costing in New York City to pursue this. So if you're watching this and you are currently in college for musical theater, or you're in high school, middle school, and you're looking towards a career in this business, and you're not really sure the reality of pursuing it, hopefully this video helps you, because let me tell you, I had no idea how much money I would be spending to just keep up my instrument, to make my dreams come true. So let's crunch the numbers. First, let's start with dance. So dance classes in New York, let me just make sure I'm accurate here. The two main studios that people go to are Broadway Dance Center and Steps. That's where a lot of the really popular teachers are. They have lots of options all throughout the day, so it's also great to like make it work to fit in your schedule. Okay, so Broadway Dance Center, $25 a class, but you can also get class packages. So you can get a 10 class package, and that will be $22 a class. So you could do something like that to save a little bit of money, but generally you're gonna pay $25 a class. But if you are a part of Actors Equity like I am, you get to pay $22 a class. So you kind of get to pay the package rate, but for you only have to upfront when you are paying for that class, because a lot of people don't do the packages because they don't have $220 on hand to pay for it. So yeah, I paid $22 a class, and I'm pretty sure it's the same at Steps. Yeah, it's the same exact price at Steps. So $25 a class, or $22 if you're in a union or you buy a class package. So for me personally, my goal every month, which I don't necessarily hit, I always aim for 3 classes a week. I do about 10 a month. That's when I'm actively auditioning as well, so I'm not dancing like a crazy amount because a lot of times the auditions feel like a dance class. So around $220 that I spend on dance class. Now let's go into voice. Voice is kind of the weirdest one because the prices throughout the city, there is a huge range. So I'm gonna use my personal experience to show you what the finances could look for that. So at one point I was seeing a teacher who was, and you guys are gonna like keel over when I say this, $275 a lesson, which is 1 hour. And that's honestly pretty standard for a lot of these like big Broadway voice teachers. There's a few voice studios that kind of teach half of the people on Broadway. There's also some big Broadway performers who teach, and yeah, those are gonna be around $275. However, there are people who are much more affordable or in between. I have since found a voice teacher who I think is really helping me, and I think it's worth the money. I signed up. She has a package where if you sign up for a recurring weekly lesson, you get a discount. So I spend, for one voice lesson every single week, it's 45 minutes long, the voice lesson, I spend $330 a month. And now I know that seems like a lot, but then when you compare that to, I used to spend $275 for one lesson, pretty good. And that is, so I'm spending about $83 a lesson compared to $275. So it's still a lot. It's the name of the game. I want to keep my voice in tip-top shape, and it's great because I can work on audition cuts with her, and I'm just constantly prepared for auditions. So I find that to be really valuable. And then something newer for me that I've started, and this is really because I have been out of college now for about 8 years, and I had really intense acting training when I was at college, and I haven't really had that since I've been in the city. I would do a couple like month-long acting classes, and they were more film acting classes, but I never really was a part of like a studio. So now I'm a part of a studio, and how much do I pay? $415. So, which I think that's an amazing price because that is about, that's for 2 classes a week. And that is, so that's 8 classes a month. So that's about $51 a class. And the classes are 3.5 hours long. That's really good price. So yeah, not too shabby, and I won't be doing that forever. I'm gonna bring it down to 1 class a week eventually, so I'll be paying, I think he does give a big discount if you do 2 classes a week. I think I'll be paying like $275 a month when I bring it down, but for now, yeah. So when we total that, yikes, oh my god, that makes me want to pass out. So that is $965 that I spend just on training for my career. Now there's also like random things that you end up paying for, which I'm going to account for in this little calculation. So a lot of times for singing auditions, if I either have one early in the morning or later in the day and I wasn't able to warm up at home, I'll pay for a warm-up studio. So let's see, Ripley Greer, which is one of the popular studios in the city to audition at, small studio to warm up in is about $28 for a half hour. That's just like the general price. So I would say I do that about 3 times a month. $84 on warm-up rooms. One of my big expenses that I used to include in videos like this was dance studios for self-tapes. Luckily, I haven't really been getting them that much. Luckily and unluckily, but I think people are moving more into like doing dance calls in person again. So I'll let you know if that changes once I get back into audition season, but for now I'm not gonna add that to my little list. A lot of times I think something to just keep in mind with money as like an actively auditioning actor is what you're wearing to auditions and your makeup. If you're a makeup wearing person, I end up spending like a bit of money each month because you're always like, for different shows you want different looks for what you're wearing, different clothes, dance shoes, keeping that up, you know, like new Lululemon stuff, leotards, things like that. Like I always end up getting things just to keep my audition looks fresh and crisp and looking good and like in style with the show I'm auditioning for, and then also keeping up my makeup, which can be expensive. So I would say I'm just gonna give it like an average between 80 and 100 a month on things like that. Let's go for 80, but that's like a realistic thing. Like for example, I have a Chicago audition coming up and I've had this one outfit that has been my Chicago outfit for 8 years since I moved to the city, and I've outgrown it, and I just don't, that was like a younger Mel Chicago. And I was like, you know what? I want something that fits the current me, a bit more mature, still fits with the style of the show. So I ordered a new outfit to wear to that audition, and I think it was like $45. And then there are other things that just always add up. I got new foundation, mascara, you know how it is. I think that's it for like how much I spend on the career itself. So my grand total, $1,150. That's a lot of money, especially like when you think of the minimum wage in New York, which is $15 an hour. If you are somehow fitting in 40 hours a week of work, which you're not, if you're doing all of this, there are only so many hours in the day. So let's say if you are doing 40 hours of work at $15 an hour in New York City, that's $600 a week. That is $2,400 a month. And that's before taxes. So if taxes are taken out, that's about $2,000 a month. And more than half of that will go to all of this. It literally makes me ill. So there's just so much to say about that. And I've done other videos about like all of my finances, so I can do another one if you want, but I can link them here. I don't think much has changed since the last time I did this about like my rent and things like that. It's a lot of money. And I will say that theater is a very, very, very privileged industry to be in. It's a very privileged career path to pursue. I wouldn't be able to do any of this if my parents didn't pay for my college, so I don't have any student loans. I can't imagine having that as a bill on top of all of this. Yeah, it's crazy. And people have a lot of different ways of how they make this money happen. And you really do have to get creative because, and I'll just kind of give you a little taste of like rent in New York City. I pay $17.40 for a studio apartment in a prime location in the city, you don't have to be paying that much. I do have friends who are paying about $1,100 to share with roommates in less nicer areas, or like more out of the way of the center of Manhattan. But I'm paying really, really cheap for this area. I have a rent stabilized apartment, so other apartments that look just like mine are going for about $3,000 a month. Yeah, so that's expensive. Food is very expensive here. Health insurance, paying for doctor's visits. If you go to a gym, that is something I could include on here, but I have my little home gym here. And I just I'm a Pilates instructor. I'm not actively teaching, but I'm able to teach myself. So that's good. Don't have to spend money on that, but there's a lot of things to spend money on here in the city, and it's just insane. Anyway, I went on a tangent kind of. Oh, I was talking about how people pay for all of this stuff. So for me, I kind of have two things going on. Number one is I've been incredibly lucky that I've been working for cruise ships where I saved a lot of money, and I put that money in a high yield savings account, which means that I accrue interest on my savings. So I'm kind of building that money a little bit, and I'll dip into that money when I need it for my classes. And then another thing is that my parents had set up another bank account that also grows money. They've had that for me since I was younger, and I believe it was started by my grandfather, who passed away when I was 2. But this account was made for me as a baby by my grandfather, and then as I grew up, my parents contributed to it. So I have this lump of money that I use a lot for my classes. And that's kind of how I make it happen. So I kind of have my 2 funds that I dip into and use. And now I also have fairly good day jobs that I'm making more money than I used to, so I'm able to afford more. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like, I always feel like I'm struggling and grasping for money. It is so insane out there. And when I crunch these numbers, look at everybody else around me who I know, like so many auditioning actors are all doing the same thing. I know they're all in weekly voice lessons. I see them in my dance classes. I see them in my acting class. Like, a lot of people are doing all of this. And I do always wonder, like, how are they all affording this? Because I'm wondering that about myself. Like, how am I affording this? And it's really because, for me, my answer is I got very, very lucky with my situation with my family, their financial situation, and then the fact that I worked on cruise ships and saved a lot of money that way. I think a lot of other people get help from their families. A lot of other people saved while they were on tour, cruise ships, all of that. They have really great jobs that are allowing them to do all of this. But yeah, it's like, it's kind of crazy, and it's just the reality of it. So I just wanted to share that with you guys so you can really see like what's going on here, because it's insane. Wow. But if you like this video and you subscribe and you comment and you do all those things, hopefully I can add YouTube to my list of income, and that can help me pay for all of these classes and things that I need to be doing to pursue my dreams. And that would be amazing. So if you guys like my videos, please help me out, because I spend a lot of time on them and I do get a little bit of money, a little bit, $10 a month, that much. So if you could help me out, that would be great, because I put in a lot of effort and time to make this happen, and I love it, and I love sharing all of this. So I would love to keep doing it and have it actually be a source of income to help me out in this career. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.